Alright, this is Ross McKenzie's Movie Reviews, and today I'm going to be reviewing Wonder Woman. I just got back from it about 3 hours ago, 2.5, 3 hours ago. And this is going to be what this is. At first part, I'm going to just put the plot. Second part, I'm going to tell you to stop. And then I'm going to go along with the spoilers. Alright. First part, let's get to the basic plot of the movie. Diana of Themyscira is basically an Amazonian princess. And she is basically the daughter of Hippolyta, and she's the queen of Themyscira. And Diana is basically grown as she starts out as a little girl, and like the other Amazonians, she dreams of battle and stuff like that, because Themyscira is a place that is only they only have women there, and they're trained kind of like Spartans, where they're there for battle, you know. There's been this thing where they kind of train a lot because there's been a history there of war. So, you know, there's been a history there, and what happens is that Hippolyta does not, Diane's mother, does not really want her to be trained for battle. So she's kind of like saying, no, I don't want you to be trained for battle, because I've seen what wars of men do and stuff like that. Alright. And all of this kind of centers on what Ares has done, what he has done in the past. You know, Ares, the god of war. So Diane decides, against her mother's wishes, that she doesn't want to be trained in battle. Alright, well, so what happens is that she basically lets her be trained in battle, but she wants her to be trained in such a way that she kind of wants to have the battle trained out of her. So she pushes her harder than anybody else on the island, you know. So until one day where Diane discovers her powers, Wonder Woman discovers her powers, and then while she's venturing out, she finds a pilot on the island who is named Steve Trevor. And he kind of introduces her to the world of man. Now, the world of man is, you know, it's not in a pleasant position to be discovered, you know, because there's World War I going on, you know, one of the biggest wars of all time, you know. And Diana, Wonder Woman, thinks, well, I've got to go with him, because he's told us exactly what the hell's going on, and, you know, he told us what's going on, and no one's really doing anything about it, because this could be a chance that Ares is there, right at the front of this war that's going on, you know, this war that involves gas and stuff like that, different types of weapons that are known to man. All right. So she eventually does go with somewhat of her mother's blessing, and they go to basically war, where they hire this ragtag group, you know, and they go to war and stuff. But Diana feels that she's being held back because of the Earth customs and stuff. You know, well, and she feels that she has a greater purpose. And you don't really even get to see her greater purpose until like about 40 minutes into the film, where you're like, you know, you see what she's really capable of, you know. Alright, so, and we also have this love story of Steve Trevor and her and stuff like that. She's very fascinated by him, you know. And so, I'm not going to give away everything of the movie in this part, but I will say that there's a lot of things that did surprise me in this movie. You know, I didn't think they were going to go there. Alright, so I'm going to give this movie about 4 stars out of 5. I think it was a great movie. It did exactly what it was set out to do, which was introduce Wonder Woman. And not that she wasn't already introduced in Batman vs. Superman, but we only had her for a little bit, you know. Okay. So I'm going to give it 4 stars out of 5. Alright. Now, this is the spoiler part, so if you haven't seen the movie, don't watch this. Alright. The whole movie, about 3/4 of the whole entire movie, was based around World War I. Alright. And I really didn't think that Patty Jenkins would actually make this movie so much male influenced. It was really surprising to me how much Steve Trevor, you know, played by Chris Pine, really was in this movie and affected Wonder Woman so dang much. You know, I mean, that surprised me. That part surprised me. Gal Gadot was fucking badass. Right when she came over that scene where she came over the stairs in that trench, I was like, holy fucking shit. This is what everybody wanted to see Wonder Woman as. She came over that fucking that fucking trench, and she's like out there with her shield, like, you know, like that, with her shield and shit. She's like, you know, and she's like dodging bullets with her like fucking, you know, her cuffs, you know, and stuff like that. And then she's out like in that battle scene where she's like just sitting there with her lasso of truth, like just fucking, you know, just reeling people in and just punching them and stuff like that. And the fucking building scene reminded me so much of that Batman vs. Superman scene where he was fighting in the building and stuff. DC has like a thing about building fight scenes. It's like they love to use fight scenes in buildings. I swear to God, man. It's like Superman where he was fighting Valora or something like that. And, you know, and then in Suicide Squad when they were like fighting, and then you know, Diablo fucking unleashed his power and shit. The Wonder Woman scene was exactly what I thought. I mean, she fucked up some guys pretty goddamn bad in that fucking scene. I swear to God, man, she just fucked up some guys in that damn scene. And the fact that Patty Jenkins went there as far as making a love story between Wonder Woman, Diana, and Steve Trevor, I was like, what the hell? And I thought that this was like, she wasn't supposed to need a man. I thought that's what this was, that's what this one movie was going to be about. No, Patty Jenkins threw in the Steve Trevor love story, and really that's really not even what a story is supposed to be. They were kind of very, very fond of friends, but they weren't lovers. He didn't have any intimate, in the real stories, he didn't really have any, the comics, he really didn't have any love interest for Wonder Woman. He was just kind of there as like, he was a very fond friend of hers, you know. The fact that he was so, basically, almost half the story fucking revolved around him. I was really surprised about how much that half the story really revolved around him. And the other half was Wonder Woman, which I have to admit was the fucking best part of the whole goddamn movie, you know. Now, Ares surprised me a bit because I kind of thought that the actor that they were showing, and I'm not going to even give away the actors' names because you'll probably even recognize them if I name them out. But when they showed the first actor that played Ares, that I thought was Ares, I was thinking, you know, when she was fighting, I was thinking, she's kind of getting the one-up on this guy a little bit too easily. So that kind of in the back of my brain kind of thought, this guy really couldn't be Ares. And then the general came out and he was like, you know, he started like saying, you know, I know you better than you know yourself, you know. And I was like, oh shit, man, that's Ares right there, you know. Until she fights him, and then he fucking puts on that huge mass amounts of armor on and shit. And their fight scene was, you know, I've seen better in like Marvel and stuff, but it wasn't half bad, you know. Ares was kind of one-dimensional, but that wasn't even what I thought was a real villain in the whole fucking movie. The real villain to me, alright? The real villain to me was man. Humans were the real villain. Man was the real villain. We were the ones that created the wars. We're the ones that created the weapons in the wars and stuff like that. Ares was basically just a tool of war. He was another tool of war that was being coerced by man. He was like, well, you have to join me, damn it. You know, it's like, and Wonder Woman didn't buy it. She didn't buy any of it. She was kind of sitting there thinking that, you know, even though she didn't buy it, she was sitting there thinking, what have you guys done, man? You guys create and then you destroy so much. I got that in the scene where she was looking around the place and stuff, and she was sitting there thinking, you guys create so much, yet you destroy, like, a lot, you know? So, it really didn't get to her, but she was buying the fact that man was at times corrupt, you know, was corrupt, and at times they can be evil at times. But then she finally saw the good, because Steve Trevor was a very important part of the goddamn movie. And I didn't even realize how important he really was until like the very end. The very end I realized how important he really was, because that was Diana's portal, her salvation to man. Steve Trevor, everything that was good in man, she saw through him. He helped her to see how good the good of man and the good of saving, you know, humanity. You know. And when she was like sitting there with Mrs. Poison, and she was like sitting there with the tank in the air, and she's like, you know, she's looking at her, come on, please grant me mercy. I don't want to die. There is still some good in me, you know. And and Diana's sitting there, you know, holding up the tank, ready to, you know, possibly kill her and shit. And I'm sitting there thinking, come on, tell me that Steve Trevor did not put in 1 ounce of goodness, of humanity inside of you. You know, this is where his love came. This is where the love story did work. It worked. Because he was her portal to humanity, you know. Like I said, the fight scene was was okay. It was all right. I mean, but the part where she was like finally getting into her powers, you know, finally fully realizing her powers and stuff. She had the handcuffs, you know, the cuffs, and she was like, you know, he was just blocking everything that he threw at her, and then you know, she uses the electricity and just kills him really quick, you know. It's like, I'm like, you know how these superhero movies, I'm like, well, why the fuck didn't you do that in the first place? Because it's a superhero movie, because they don't want to, you know. The fight scenes were pretty fucking badass when they happened. Now, you don't get to see a fucking fight scene until 40 minutes into the movie. A real fight scene, what I call real fight scene between actual Wonder Woman, when she's all dressed up in garb and stuff like that. You know, she was kind of incomplete when they had the island fight with the Germans and stuff like that, and the Amazons, which was pretty cool. They did some pretty cool stuff there and stuff. But yeah, it was a damn good movie. It was really good for what it was. And, like I said, I'm going to give it 4 stars out of 5. Excellent movie. Gal Gadot, amazing as Wonder Woman. You know, exactly what I pictured Wonder Woman to be on the big screen. So, that's all I'm going to talk about for right now, and you have a good day. Thank you very much.